home exhibit. They work consistently to find good homes for all the animals that come under their care, from stray dogs brought in by police or people who have managed to pick them up from the freeway to outrageous and heartbreaking abuse and neglect situations. Almost Home takes all who come to their doorstep, provides them with medical attention, food, care, and love, which is something many of these creatures have never known. They do not give up on anyone. Beyond the physical, if a dog needs training, socialization, or the like to become adoptable, Almost Home makes that investment. Our animal shelter, because of the good work that they do, has developed a large group of volunteers, donors, and business partners who support and honor their no-kill mission. They frequently host adoption events, participate in fundraising, and attract positive attention to the city of Southfield and to their cause. Almost Home should be a point of pride for this city, not a sort of necessary evil being considered for elimination or being wiped out. We hope, now that we brought it to your attention, the good that Almost Home does, that you will support us. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, we're going to ask that everyone refrain from applause during the public comments. Just holds up the process. We'd like to go to our next request for recognition, Bud Johnson. Bud Johnson. Next request is Kristen Johnson. Next request is Marla Weingarten.
Hello, on behalf of Almost Home staff and volunteers, we are unable to speak today at this meeting, and so I appreciate the recognition. As a City of Southfield resident, I would like to thank all the residents today and all the volunteers and adopters and everyone in this room for your support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next request for recognition is Keith Harris.
How you doing today? I'm here on behalf of my community and All Race and Life Matter, P.O. Box 2769, 48037. We have so much work to do. We just lost 12 city employees in Virginia, and we got petty disagreements coming to this podium. 12. This country has lost Jews, blacks, people in the LBG community, people who have done nothing but want this world to be better. This is one of the reasons we call ourselves All Race and Life Matter. Southfield had a good day. We had 4 good men stand up here. We got a hard decision to make. But the biggest decision we got to make, that we're not a petty city. We're not petty. We got some good police officers. Not saying that every one of them is going to make the best decision all the time, but we got some good police officers. Everybody have a bad day. And when you have that bad day, you don't come to work. But I'm not going to sit here and spit venom on nobody today, because we lost 12 city employees. And you know, Southfield can easily fall into that realm. That's how important it is to make the right decision today. We got to bow our heads for bigger things and stop listening to these petty things These things can happen outside this room. You know, I come here, I don't never talk about myself. I talk about my community. I talk about the city I love. I talk about the people I can work with. We need, yes, to add more diversity to our police department, but at the same time, we need to work with our police officers and not just come here yelling and screaming about what they're not doing. They got a hard job ahead of them. Everybody in my family is law enforcement officers. So I seen the stress of my brothers and my cousins and my uncles when they come home. We got a lot of work to do, and we ain't gonna do it divided. So please, let's think about the people first and bow our heads for the ones we lost.
We'd like to, next request for recognition is Stacy Jackson.
Good evening. Stacy Jackson, 21685 Rougewood Drive, Southfield, Michigan, 48033. Usually when we sign up to speak, I actually come before Mr. Harris. Today, I must say I am proud of him for his message tonight. That was definitely from the heart and off the cuff. Very quickly, I wanted to start today with a scenario of my own. When we first moved to Southfield, 14 years ago, my stepson was 2 years old. His father, a candidate for 2 knee replacements and 2 hip replacements at the same time, bone on all 4 joints. So at 2 years old, he took him out through the ravines, Carpenter Lake, through the woods, and everything else. And the 2-year-old stepson of mine, he was armed with his toy rifles, dressed in his camouflage, his police badge, and all these other different toy tools. After 4 hours of walking throughout the community through the woods as new residents, right when they were turning the block on our street, a Southfield police officer pulled up on them slowly. He exited his vehicle, and he walked up to my husband and my stepson, and he said, "What's going on here?" And my stepson said, "I'm hunting dinosaurs." The police officer then looked at Mr. Harris and said, "I think I see another one over there." So he walked the woods near our home for about 5 minutes, then walked back to his patrol car and drove off. From that moment to this day, my stepson has prided himself on becoming a police officer. Today this year he'll be 17 years old. He's a part of 2 junior police academies. And he prides himself, when he was younger, coming here and meeting our former police chief, Eric Hawkins. I said that to say that I respect City Council today for focusing on one of the most valuable and most important positions that this city can do. I am glad to see that we had 4 candidates that all fit the bill. I am partial to one, of which I have spoken my values on, but I won't do that today because I would not want to disrespect the other candidates. But I am hopeful that we do understand that Southfield does have problems. There's room for improvement. And when we continue to allow spectacles to come to this podium that should remain outside on the street curb, we need that position filled now more than ever. Thank you.
All right, our next request for recognition is Brenda Lyons. Is Brenda Lyons here? I couldn't. Nope. Okay. Our next request is Vanessa Burrell.
All right, I did make a request to,
Put the mic down.
I did not make a request to speak, but I'm not quite sure why my name was called.
Oh,
you
okay.
didn't?
Maybe you just signed in today. Okay.
I just signed in, I'm sorry.
Okay. That was it.
No complaints, I love Southfield.
All right. Thank you. That wasn't a plant. That was our next request for recognition is Judy Womar. No. Next request is Donna Simpson Long.
It's already timing me out. Do I get
They'll
3
reset
minutes
it.
or no?
It's reset.
Oh, okay, thank you. When I made the request to speak, it was to add a question for the 4 candidates to answer. And having sat here and listened to what they said, they sort of answered my question anyway. So I just thank you for the opportunity.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Our next request for recognition, having a hard time reading some of this. Barry, is it Hawthorne? That's about as best I can get on that one. Not sure. Barry Herbert? Oh, Barry Herbert? We can't read it, sorry. Got you. All right, thank you. Next request is Peter Schwartz. Is Peter Schwartz here? All right, our next recognition is Rosemary Allen. She good? Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
You can hardly hear these people when they're talking.
Sure. Would you mind closing the door in the back for us, please? It is getting a little loud out there.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, who did I call last? All right, next request for recognition is Laura Bloom. All right. Next request for recognition is Morgan Pearson. Next request for recognition is Lois Jones. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no problem. Hold on, we got one. Oh,
My name's Morgan. I was hoping she would be able to speak on my behalf.
no.
She's a Southfield City resident.
Yeah, sure. She can go. She can speak.
Thank you very much.
Hi. I'm here to speak on behalf of Save Almost Home Shelter. I had an experience Friday where I saw a little dog at Telegraph and 10 Mile Road about to go out into Telegraph to get killed, so I stopped my car. I always keep a dog crate in the back of my trunk. I called the little doggy, he came, I put him in the trunk, and I took him to Almost Home Shelter. They took the dog in with no problem, and I would like to say I don't see why we can't keep the shelter here, because it does make a difference, and we really, really need it. I mean, that could have been any one of you all sitting up there, a dog that I took in that got loose or out the home, and you would have been happy if I had saved your dog. So I have 2 dogs of my own. I've been living in Southfield now for about 28 years. So I own a home, I pay my taxes, I don't bother anybody, and I help anyone that I can help, even the animals. So I'm just pleading and asking if you all would please take in consideration to save and keep Almost Home.
Thank you.
Okay.
Our next request for recognition is Lois Jones.
This is my first time before council, but hello to all the council members and also to our mayor. when I signed that sheet out there, I thought I was signing for something else. So I sat down and I wrote this whole speech, but I'm not even going to use the speech. I want to let the Lord lead me. I want to say, first of all, I'm one of the members on the Southfield Police Citizen Academy and the Chief Advisory Board, and then there's also a lot of us here representing the Southfield Police Academy. And if they wish, they could raise their hands. But what I came here to say at first was about the police chief, but now I'm going to say more so about our police department. I want to give and let you all know that we have a very fine police department. They're some of the nicest officers, not just because I'm on the board, but if you see them out in the street, they wave at you, they are considerate. If you see them at the restaurants, they come up and talk to you. I mean, where else can you go and see such conduct from our police department? Our Southfield Police Department, who works in the schools, are very, very good with the students and also with the parents. They try to stop the trouble before it excels. I know because I had children at the Southfield high schools. And we had very good officers that was there to help out with the kids. They mostly knew who they were, and they also knew them by names. Also, I wanted to say that I want to give all the praise and glory to God, but also to our finest, the Southfield Police Department. I want to say thank you guys for everything. And when you get ready to pick your chief, I would like for you to consider the citizens and how we feel about our Southfield Police Department. Right now we have open doors to the mayor and the police. I hope that you consider that when you were listening to the other candidates who were saying about the strictness that they might want to impose on us. We like it when it's open, when we can consider talking to them, and they're hearing what our concerns are, and they step in and take action for us. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Our next request for recognition is Linda, I don't know if it's Snow, I don't know. Cut me out.
Shaheen? Linda Shaheen?
Linda Shaheen. Okay.
Anybody close to that?
Don't say that.
You only get 3 minutes.
All right, next request is Norma Gladden, or Gladen. Next request for recognition is Michelle Nalipa. Next request for recognition is Melanie Mirascati.
Hi, Council. Thanks for having us. I was found out today, advised that I shouldn't speak because I am a long-term volunteer. I didn't know if you were making exceptions to someone who's unaffiliated.
Put that mic right up to you.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I didn't know if someone who is unaffiliated could take my place in speaking. I didn't know I wasn't able to talk today.
I would say yes, but I want to because I think I've already set a precedent for tonight, but really that's not normally our practice to do that. I want all of you all to know we've received all your emails. We understand your concerns, and this is not even a matter that we've gotten to.
She's a Southfield resident that had an experience. Is it granted? If not, I understand.
She can go ahead since I already let the other young lady go. I will.
My name is Dina. I'm a resident
You
of...
have to speak up a little bit.
Sorry. My name is Dina. I'm a resident of Southfield, and my dog was taken to the Almost Home Animal Shelter under the pretense that he was going to be adopted out to a home. Unfortunately, I was intimidated into surrendering him, and I found out after him being there 3 days, he was killed. This shelter is really important. Not all situations are animals that are violent or mean, and these people take their time out based on donations, and they help these animals to get new homes, cats, dogs, anything. It's out of love, and we need this shelter in our community. We need these people. animals are important. They might not be people, but they're still important. They're important to people. They're like family members, and we need to do everything we can to keep the shelter open. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Our next request for recognition is Stephen Grady.
Good evening. Good evening. And greetings to Mayor Siver, President Cruz, honorable body, to your interview board, city staff, and to the residents as well. My name is Stephen Grady, and I'm Chief of Staff for Detroit City Council President Brenda Jones by day. By night, I'm Stephen Grady, so that's why I don't have my tie on, and I'm here as a private citizen. I'm no longer a resident of Southfield, but I did used to live here. I want to compliment you all on your open, structured, and dignified process, your selection process here tonight. This is a great model for community engagement and transparency. Plus, you have 4 very strong candidates. And the best thing I can tell you is that you will not lose with any one of them. I can see that. So why am I here? I'm here to show love and support to a special candidate. I'm here to share a couple of quick stories, one about Damone Grimes, the young man who was killed on the ATV. When there was a crowd of 300 people at the corner of Rossini and Gratiot who were grieving and wanted to fight, there was one man that came in and made sure that that did not turn into a riot. When there was a young man who was killed over on the corner of 6 Mile and Southfield when he was getting gas, and the gas station attendant came from behind the glass and shot him in the chest, there was one man that kept that incident from turning into a riot. My selection, if I was to tell you about his character, he is honest, he's consistent, he's experienced, he is respected. What you should know, 4 C's. He's calm under pressure, and that extends throughout his entire command. When you have a tense situation, you don't want your leader in there frantic. You want him calm, cool, and collected. He's competent to lead. He's strategic, operational, and he will get you safe results. He leads by example. He's what's known as a policeman's police. He builds synergies between all stakeholders, and he guides and mentors future leaders. So if you select this leader, we're going to be a little hurt, but there are some people right behind him to take his spot because he's ensured that. He's strong but compassionate, humble, and empathetic. He cares for victims, officers, witnesses, the community, and even the perps. My final words is there are no losers here. Your selection will strengthen our entire region. My recommendation is for Detroit Deputy Chief Elvin Barron. Thank you.
Our next request for recognition is, I don't know if that's Neil Scalithis.
Hi, good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. I'm before you this evening in support of Almost Home Animal Rescue. My family adopted a cat from Almost Home that had come from difficult circumstances and would have likely been deemed unadoptable and euthanized if there was another operator running the shelter. There's currently a petition online on change.org, and it's gotten almost 5,000 signatures in support of Almost Home since Saturday afternoon. Those signing the petition were asked to leave comments. I would encourage council to read through the comments and see the high value that the community places on a no-kill shelter. Of the many comments, there was one that I thought really did a good job of summing up the value that Almost Home provides to the city. Amy Pepper writes, Almost Home provides a vital service for the city of Southfield and the surrounding communities. Without their efforts, stray and the sick population would skyrocket. Almost Home has beautifully transformed the building and land with their investment. Almost Home provides nationwide publicity with their community service and marketing efforts. This draws volunteers and clients into the city of Southfield that otherwise might not visit. The city is doing itself a large disservice if it displaces this wonderful organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next request for recognition is Pam Carner. Our next request for recognition is Monica Allen. Next request is Stacy Kolpak. No, Stacy. All right. Next request is Jeff Stevenson. Next request is Harold Hill. Next request is Yolanda Hay. Oh, is he? I don't see him. Our next request is Yolanda Haynes. Yes, there she go.
My name is Yolanda Haynes. I reside at 24501 Kensal. Thank you so much for allowing us to be able to see the interviews that you had with the candidates. I thought that was a very important thing. There's so many things that I can say. I'll try to say in 3 minutes. For those of us that wear this shirt with pride, this is because we have actively taken part in a program that was started by the former chief, Chief Hawkins. His idea was to create a community relationship, the coming together of residents and the police, and I would say that he did a very fine job in doing that. As you well know, some of you may not know, he started out as a cadet. I mean, he started from the bottom, and he has excelled to be where he is today. He is not with us, but he did train someone to do that very good job. I have some work that needs to be done in my house. And as always, when you have a house, you have repairs. The most important thing that needs to be done in my house when I have a repair person come out is, are you qualified to do the job? I really don't care what you look like. I just want to know, can you do the job? Are you qualified to do the job? Meaning, can I trust you to do the job without taking my belongings in my house? Can I trust you to come in and do what you said? I mean, you've got the credentials. If you tell me you're going to do it, you're going to do it. That's so important, and some of you may understand that. This is what's at stake here. We're talking about qualification. We're talking about integrity. And the most important thing that I heard was servant leadership. That resonates with me more than anything. If you are a servant that leads, that means you are here to serve the people. You are not here self-serving. And I think we need to understand that more than anything. I've heard that out of one person. And that very one person stood out. Not only that, there's some change that doesn't need to happen, and the change that needs to happen is the change that we already have. And I think we need to understand that and look at that, because there are some things that you don't have to recreate or redo. Saves us not only money, but time and energy. We are well established here in this community, and we want and we have someone that is qualified and capable to do the job, that has already been doing the job, and I'd like for you all to take that into great consideration. Now, I'll use the example of apples, if you will. If you go to the store, you buy a bunch of apples, one might be bad when you get it home, you throw that out, but you keep the rest. You keep what's good. So there is bad everywhere, but what's important is keeping the good, using the good for doing the good. The change we need is the change we have. Thank you.
Our next request for recognition is Mr. and Mrs. Powell. Is there a Mr. and Mrs. Powell here? All right, our next request for recognition is Shanice Foot Van. Our next request for recognition is Erica and George Carey. Our next request for recognition, I believe this says Peggy. Can't read the last name. Once again, I didn't bring my spectacles. Is there anybody named Peggy?
It's Collier?
Oh, Collins, okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, our next request for recognition is Vicki Robertson.
Hello, I'm Vicki, and I'm from Howell, Michigan. I drove all the way out here to show you, this is one of Almost Home's babies. I rescued her, or adopted her in 2013 after they rescued her. She has turned out to be more than just a pet. She has turned out to be somebody who has actually saved my life. She is a service dog now. We also have another special baby from them, and this one came from Ohio. They brought him all the way up from Ohio after everyone had said, give it up, he can't survive. This is him. His name is Victor. When he came up, he was totally paralyzed in the rear end. Victor, after Almost Home helped him, they gave him physical therapy and did all sorts of work they could for him. Victor at that time just dragged his rear. This is Victor as of today. Almost Home is the only one who did not give up on him. They purposely kept him alive, saved him, and did things that others would not do. And with that, I thank you.
Our next request for recognition is Teresa Sullivan.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Sullivan. I currently am a resident of the city of Southfield. I've lived here for a little over 35 years, and I stay here because I really do love the city of Southfield. I've raised 3 children. They have all attended and were graduates of the Southfield Lathrop High School. I'm currently retired. I was here to speak on behalf of Almost Home. I just currently found out that I'm not allowed to speak because I spend some of my time volunteering. I'm not exactly sure why I can't speak, so I was just wondering if somebody can explain that to me.
Who told you you couldn't speak?
Attorneys said that we were not allowed to speak if we are affiliated with the rescue.
I have no idea.
What attorney? A private attorney?
Representing Almost Home, I assume.
You better go talk to them.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't think
So I would like to speak if you're willing to listen to me.
Mr. President, within the RFP, which was issued in March of this year, there is language, as with all of our contracts, we don't encourage vendors to engage city council, and it's considered a standard best practice in the purchasing world. I have no idea what her attorney said, but the RFP language does discourage this. This is supposed to be an open process. The RFP was issued in March. Almost Home was encouraged to apply. Those per RFP responses are currently in the process of being reviewed. For the record, a number of my staff have recused ourselves from being involved, and we're actually looking to bring in outside entities to take part of this evaluation process so that we can have and ensure an above-board process. So I can't, again, speak to what her attorney said, but there is language in the RFP to protect the integrity of that process.
Okay, at this time, I don't want to take up more time. I do want to say, though, that this is the first opportunity that I have come before the council. I'm glad that I stayed to listen to the candidates, and I heard some wonderful things. So you have a great, you have a hard job ahead of you. I hope you pick the correct candidate. And for future, I would love to understand the politics involved and the legalities of speaking and not speaking. But I would say that I do love the city. I hope the decisions that are made because it's best for the city. Thank you for listening, and I apologize for any confusion.
Our next request for recognition is Morgan Pearson. And our next request is Sue Southen. All right. Well, that concludes the communications portion of the meeting. Council? Any items? Mr. Mandelbaum?
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. But while we are looking for, or you saw the interviews this evening for a new police chief, we are looking for summer help in our Parks and Rec department. So I encourage everyone, if you know someone coming home from college to attend, looking for a summer job, Parks and Rec is looking for many different positions, whether it's on the golf course, in the swimming pool, working in the day camps. Our Public Works Department is also looking for many people 18 years and older with a driver's license, if they can mow lawns in some of our parks and city properties. Please contact our Human Resource Department, and they will be happy to help you out. I would also be remiss to say that our Police Department is looking for officers, as well as our Fire Department. Feel free to apply. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'd like to just thank council for allowing us to conduct this, the public interviews, the public panel, the 5 panelists, the candidates, obviously the public. You know, council had issued in October, this council said we want a more transparent process. And obviously, as we complete this process, the administration will do an additional review. But in the spirit of transparency, I think we've had one of the far more open processes that I've seen in my 11 years here. And I want to thank council for working with us, and what times was a little rough and choppy, in particular council president and pro tem and legal. But I'd also like to thank HR, our James Meadow and his team in our Human Resource Department for getting us this far. I want to just comment on the Virginia beach shooting. As Mr. Harris' report stated, you know, what's happening to civility in our society, and things can be very fragile. But I want the council and the public to know that we did have our employee assistance personnel on board today. They were available for any of our employees who had or needed to talk about what's happened. Administratively, we have begun a process about a month and a half ago to review our emergency contact procedures, and we're going to make and review and tighten that up a little bit more so we can have that rapid response. And then within the budget process that was reviewed with council last Thursday, we have set aside money for a facilities evaluation. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll be hearing one more of the other teams on that. That will include addressing some of these safety precautions. We still need to schedule a time with council regarding council chambers, so we just need to get that. Then I just want to comment on the Almost Home. You know, from time to time, it is just prudent, just good government to review all of your contractual arrangements. This arrangement's been in place since 2006. It needs to work for both sides. Almost Homes is an outstanding 501c3 group that practices no-kill, but we also have needs as a community, and they both need to work together and in harmony. The administration is working to facilitate that, but there is a process in place. We'll go through it, and at some point in the near future, we'll be back in front of council with a recommendation. Almost Home will be part of a group that's interviewed, as I said earlier, with that interview panel consisting of a number of outside people to ensure that there's a fair review of this matter, as well as the RFP. Thank you.
Oh, go right ahead, Mr. Frazier.
Yeah, I would was waiting for our self-appointed town crier to give the other announcement, and that is, for anybody that's just sick and tired of not being able to go up and down 9 Mile Road between Telegraph and Lasser, it's scheduled for a ribbon cutting on the 5th of June, which is 2 days. And we should have a smooth road, and it'll look a lot different, so the wait will be worth it, so.
And that's 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
Yep. Thank you. Mr. Brightwell.
I just want to thank the city administration, HR, and council's input into this selection process. That is very thorough. It's been transparent. I heard a couple of the interviewees indicated that they learned something through this particular process. So I came out of corporate America. I know we have an assessment process for anyone that's typically promoted to the higher ranks in corporate America. And it's very thorough and it's meaningful. I happen to know by way of our former Fire Chief Healy, and when I first was involved with the Veterans Commission, he told me at one point he was on the assessment committee for firemen. And obviously, I saw the contract for this assessment for our people here that they went through. So I'm just proud of the fact that Southfield is doing a very due diligence job in filling this very important slot. And it's one that we can say was transparent, and these are the reasons why so-and-so was selected. And that's the highest form of transparency. I'm just proud of the city. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, did you have anything for us?
Very briefly, I also add my appreciation to the citizens who stepped up to be on the panel tonight. I'd also like to talk about grass mowing, particularly on city right-of-ways and in city parks. And actually what I'm about to say also applies to Southfield Public Schools properties. We are behind in mowing grass, and we've had a number of people call and ask what's going on. And the reason is principally that we've had so much rain that even when the sun is out, it makes, it's not necessarily that you're able to mow. We've had attempts to mow some of the parks and right-of-ways, and the mowers have done damage. Matter of fact, I got a call today in a park that was mowed that was left with ruts and mud. The other reason that we're a little challenged right now, besides the inordinate amount of rain we've had, is we have 15 positions open in Public Works for grass mowing. So as Councilman Mandelbaum, who usually preempts me, has mentioned, we are looking for summer help, 18 years or old, of age or older, with a driver's license, and wants to mow grass. We have 15 open positions. It's not too late to apply. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Attorney, did you have anything for us?
Nothing from.
All right, Madam Clerk. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, meeting adjourned.